Thank you. Welcome, councillors and members of the public. Warwick Times Age, hello. Welcome here to our infrastructure committee meeting. Please ensure all your devices. I'm going off my run sheet here. So please ensure your devices, cell phones, are either switched off or on silent. I will stop the meeting if somebody's phone rings, and I'll ask for a please explain. Thank you. This meeting is being recorded. It's in the supper room of the Waihinga Centre, Martinborough Town Hall, and it's being live streamed. Health and safety, if members of the public are present, well, there's none here other than Sue, and I'm sure that she knows that we drop cover and hold in the event of an earthquake, and that the exits are there and there. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll start with the karakia, and I'll invite everybody to perhaps remain seated, and if everybody's happy with that, and we'll go through it. Thank you. Right, kia ora.
Kia ora, te marena, te whakapapa, aunga te kawana, te ruri, te mata, te parangia, aroa, Jesus, aroa, mai,
Cool, right. Now we've got my back to somebody who's online.
You've got Aidan. Hi, Aidan.
It's online. Thank you, Aidan. Greetings, Aidan.
Hi, team.
Right, so apologies. Do we have any apologies, please? Councillor Isaacs, I have here. One, I'll move Councillor Isaacs' apology. Do I have a seconder, please?
Yep.
Thank you, Frank. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any conflicts of interest to declare regarding the agenda of this meeting? So none, thank you. Do we have any acknowledgements and tributes? No, very good. Public participation, it's nothing, nobody's registered, thank you. No actions. The urgent business, do we have any urgent business? I think we have one item of urgent business here. I'd like to just basically cover that off, James.
The engagement update.
Listed on there as a post.
Yeah, so the Martinborough wastewater treatment stage 2 improvements engagement update. The report will not include an agenda released because of timing. Engagement period recently closed on the 31st of March and cannot load until the next meeting. That's at the end of the agenda. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll move that.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor Fain. Seconded. Thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried.
Aye.
Thank you. Good. Thanks. On the confirmation of minutes from the previous infrastructure committee meeting. I'm not here. Right, so I'll have a mover in a second, I think. Oh, sorry, before we do that, are there any corrections that anybody's identified in there that we need to consider for any changes? You weren't here, you're an apology. But we have a mover to go on those, Chair? Yeah.
I can second.
Thanks. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you.
Abstain, obviously.
And you'll abstain. Yeah. Previous minutes, is there any matters that aren't necessarily contained in today's agenda that need to look at or question? I don't believe I
think everything has been covered again.
Your worship,
yep.
You have anything at all? No, it's mostly covered off in the No matters arising. Information reports from the Chief Executive and Council Officers. Community Operations Group reports. We are now considering these. Mr. O'Connor, would you like to highlight or add anything to the report, please?
Chair, just to briefly touch on a few things across the group before I then invite the managers up to go through things in a bit more detail. I'll take this as read and note the global fuel issue. It's certainly something that's at the front across the business, but particularly across the group, given the use of fuel in the infrastructure space. There's further information that I believe will be coming to council specifically around that, so I won't go into that any further. A couple of key highlights out of each of the business groups. Roading in particular, a huge effort from the team at Ruahanga Roads and Fulton Hogan with that storm event that came through. A lot of work going on there, a lot of impact to the infrastructure, and some great effort going on there. And water, very significant project, which won't take too much wind away from Peter. But with the Tauwharanika pipeline, that's something you'll be aware of. It's been talked about for a number of years. Huge milestone in having that almost completed. A few final checks on that. So having that place very significant, particularly for the Featherston community, but for the district as well. Briefly in community operations, a lot going on there as well. Particular note, the refurbishment of the playground at Lake Ferry, getting that done properly, and then having that opened, available to the public for the Easter weekend, which was good timing there. And more recently, you may have seen posts still on the playgrounds front with the Joy Cowley playground in Featherston being nominated for an award. So excellent work from the team there, being very well received by the community. So to continue there, I'll just invite managers up.
Yes, so that'll be great if we could have managers up just to have a chat, and then we'll open the floor up for questions as we move through. Just before we do though, are there any questions for Mr. O'Connor at this early stage?
Just a comment, thank you for highlighting those three things, James. They're not obviously those significant developments, but commendations on the Tauwharanika pipeline. Thank you.
Right, who's first to be called up there?
I think we go the same as last time, Graham. If you'd like to take the table first, take us through the rating report, a couple of the key projects in the low cost, low risk.
What do we need to make the floor?
Yeah.
Okay, your worship, just if you have questions of any of our speakers today, if you could just sort of reserve them to the end and then ask the questions at the end, that we'll get through things. Thank you.
So you'd like me to go?
Thank
you. Okay, so to summarise the report, the financial statement that we've put there is where we currently were at the time we wrote the report and how much remaining budget was left in each of those the local roads and the SPR. So the PACE score, I've added this as a section into to this report, so it will give everyone an understanding of how well we are working with our maintenance contractor, Fulton Hogan. The current score for February was 93 out of 100, which is a big improvement, and I think we're going to be talking about the PACE later, so I'll leave that one for now. Health and safety, there was no significant issues highlighted. There were some minor things, but they were all addressed at the time. I'm not going to go through each one of these numbers, but you can see the progress we've made since the last meeting on some of the repairs. The significant one in here will be the amount of reseals we've done. So that's the totals. We've got one small or two small little jobs that we want to finish off, but that's nearly finished and the complete numbers. Area-wide pavements, it lists here Ponatahi, White Rock Road and number 1 line and Bidwell's Cutting is our main jobs for this summer that's just gone for the area-wide treatment. The speed management plan, the summary of the speed management plan is we have completed all the schools, so they're all now complete. We are starting out of the 2 councils that I look after, we're starting with South Wairarapa on the towns. I found out this morning that we have completed all the speed review signs for all 3 towns, Greytown, Featherston and Martinborough, and the next phase will be for South Wairarapa for us to move into the rural speed.
Thanks.
The emergency work, as James briefly touched on earlier there about the big event we had on the 15th and 16th of February, that sort of gave the department a lot of work. As you know, we had significant damage done to several bridges and several roads. Tirata Road being the biggest one, where we had a significant part of Tirata Road washed away. Since then, that's created a lot more work for us, working with Regional Council on how we can address some of the issues that caused some of that damage. We're currently working on trying to get the normal process is we do the emergency work, we stop, and then we have to go through some processes to do the remaining part of the work. We're at that point right now, and we're talking to Regional Council about trying to bring that second phase forward so that we can protect that work that we've already done. My main concern is that if we do have another significant rain effect, some of the work we have done may be impacted, and we don't want that. I've also submitted my claim to NZTA for financial assistance to make good some of this work that we've done. The breakdown of that in the report. Update on the May swell event, which was May last year, when we had a big heavy swell and southerly winds hit the south coast. We have finally got the resource consents that we needed to get on with that work, which is extending the eco reef for that work. So we have got that program now, and we're starting to get underway with that. The development, sub-developments and things, no great change there. That's just work as usual. What else? I've got to make an apology on here because some person who helped me write this has put some of the CDC stuff in here and he shouldn't have done. So
Interesting to read, though.
I apologise for that. I didn't proofread this before I left the department, but it slipped. And when I read it again this morning in preparation, I noticed it's in there. So the ongoing work, I'll quickly go through that. The structural work, the maintenance, renewal of bridges and geotechnical work. The main focus on that is Tahawa Bridge on Tamariri Road. That's the bridge that's actually got a big crack running right down through its middle, and I showed everyone that on our visit.
Known as the Lower Valley Bridge.
No, that's not the Lower Valley Bridge.
The one on Timari Road.
Timari Road, yeah. Okay, so that is the one that's got our attention at the moment to try and get repaired. So we're in discussion with Stantec, our bridge engineers, and some prefabricated concrete manufacturers, because we've got several options to the way we can fix this. We're actually going away from the culvert solution and probably putting a proper bridge in there. That's work in progress, which will come to the council in the next few months to make a decision on how we go about fixing that bridge. Lower Valley Bridge is the one right down at the bottom of Kahutra Road that joins up east-west to Lake Ferry. That is a bridge of concern for us at the moment due to the current situation it sits itself in. Since the last meeting, we've engaged a surveyor who's surveyed the bridge. Our concern is if that river goes into a serious flood, the bridge might be impacted by that flood. So we've surveyed it, and we are going to close that bridge when the river becomes flooded. Our trigger to do that is when the State Highway 53 bridge closes, we would close this bridge as well. We've reduced the speed limit on this bridge, and unfortunately, once again, the amount of debris that's coming down this river or down the Rimahanga is getting collected on this bridge, and we are looking at again engaging the commercial divers to go in, because we can't use a digger because of the restriction on the bridge. Again, that's impacting our budget. Using commercial divers is not cheap. Some good news on this, I've been engaging well with WTA, and they have agreed that any debris that does get caught on the bridge on State Highway 53 will be cleared from that bridge, so that it's not just relieved to float down the river and then impact on our bridge. So just recently we had that issue. In preparation for the event we thought was going to happen last weekend, we got that bridge cleared. And we are talking to the divers to clear the debris on the Lower Valley Bridge. The Wairongamai Bridge, the one on Western Lake, That's ongoing. Oh, sorry, the Lower Valley Bridge and Wairongamai Bridge, we have got Stantec writing up an options report. So those options reports will be from do nothing to complete replacement with a price and the work involved. And that's something that's going to probably be presented to the council so that we can come up with a plan going forward. Okay. So the Wairongamai Bridge, again, the foundations are being underwashed. We're talking with regional council about trying to remedy that, and that's ongoing. Those talks.
Sorry, Graham, I'm aware that Aidan's got his hand up to ask some questions. Aidan, I'm asking councillors if they could just wait till the end of the presentation here and then have their questions compiled and ask them.
Yep, for sure.
Yep, thanks, mate. Let's carry on.
Okay, so I've put in the budget constraints. We have got a limited budget and structures to do some of this significant work that I've just talked about. So that's something that will present an issue in the future. There's a summary there of the resource consents. I don't want to go too much into them, but we've got most of our resource consents now. So that's for eco reef extensions and river run extraction. So we've done quite some work there to get that on, and Tim as well. What else? Don't want to go through all of those too much. So we have got some money for the low cost, low risk budget for the glue pot stability. The current situation is there. We've had the geotech company in, we've drilled the holes and we're putting the sampling monitoring equipment into that hill so that we can get a better understanding of how that hill is moving. Once we have that back, which will be a few months, we will be engaging with someone to try and come up with a solution to try and stabilise the glue pot, which is going to be a big job, I think.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Footpath renewals work, we've come to the end of that. Ponitahi road safety improvement, we are very nearly finished that. We should have that bridge. Well, we've done all the safety improvement on the road. We're just finishing off the work that we're going to do on the bridge. We've cleaned away the willows and we are, before we make it one way, we're decided to make a shoulder extension just to push the traffic further over to one side of the road so there's a better line of sight. So that's what's delayed the actual bridge being turned into one lane. Should be doing that within the next few weeks. And that's, I think. Yeah, it is.
Well done, thank you. So we have some questions. Obviously, I'll start with you, Aidan, if you don't mind.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks a lot, Graham. It's great to read through. I've just got a few questions. You talked about the flood debris on the lower valley, and I was surprised that from your email last week that debris had built up so soon after it had been removed by the divers, as we saw was occurring when we did that infrastructure tour. I'm just wondering as to whether any consideration has been done to would council or would GW allow steel cables and some sort of net to be stretched across the river upstream of the bridge to protect it from that flood debris. I've traveling around the country, these dams, hydro dams that have nets across ahead of the intake pipes of the dams to stop debris from flowing down. And would that be an option that we could talk to the engineers and possibly GW to prevent that debris from hooking up underneath the piles of that bridge?
I'd really have to give that some thought. I think it's something that we could maybe suggest, but I'm not sure how successful we would be.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Again, it's something that someone else would be making that decision. I'm not sure.
Yeah, for sure.
What the outcome would be.
Just thinking outside the square. The other thing that you've got there is the budget constraints and talking about the repairs that are needed to bridges, and that's been highlighted in the infrastructure reports going back to the last term of council. I didn't make a comment about it ahead of the LTP workshop that occurred this morning, but has a topic of budget constraints for bridge repairs, has that been raised to go into next year, the upcoming LTP?
Are you asking me, Aidan? Sorry.
Through the chair, I mean, it is definitely a consideration that the topic that will be in there. It's as we've talked about on the tour in I2, we've got a lot of bridges, the
Yes.
age of them, condition, etc. So yes, it will be a consideration in the LTP. Currently, I mean, I guess Graham's talking about our current budgets. There's restrictions in that from when they were set, but we will certainly be giving it consideration in the LTP.
Great, thanks. And my last question, Graham, is after the meeting that we had with GW last month to discuss the challenges that you're facing with resource consenting and I suppose liaison with GW staff, how is that new relationship going? Have things improved? And yeah, how's it working?
Yeah, it's improved, and James has actually got a meeting next week, so we're meeting up monthly at the moment. And only this morning, there's a few things came across my desk that I want to go and speak to them with concerning getting on with some work and protecting the work that we did after the last storm.
Yeah,
the relationship is definitely improved because I've now got faces and people that are engaged with me, so it's much better.
Great, thanks a lot. That's me covered off. Thanks, team.
Thanks, Aidan. Do we have any other questions from committee members at this stage? Yes, Rob.
Sure. Thanks, Graham, for the report. Just some points of clarification. So on page 16, in terms of the financial summary, there's the reference to the special purpose road. For April, the cost $2 million. Does that incorporate the amount we get from NZTA?
Sorry, just
Page 16.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry. So the column on the left is what we've currently spent to date.
But that incorporates what we receive from NZTA.
Yes, yeah,
it does
for this year.
Okay, all of it. Well, that's all of it. Yeah. So a third of that spending relates to them. On page 19, there's a reference to ongoing vested road subdivisions, and you've got 4 subdivisions listed there. Can you just explain a little bit more in terms of background what that actually means?
So the subdivisions are where people have made applications, and the subdivision office engineer is actually working with the planners.
What is the cost to the council, though, of these subdivisions?
I don't have that figure ready available for me at the moment.
But from a works perspective, is this for, say, as an example, where there might be a metal road, making that a sealed road?
That would be the developer's cost.
That's the development cost.
For example, that you've just given, they would be made to seal a road if they're on a subdevelopment.
Okay, and so the council cost would be only around the resource part of it.
Yes.
Tim would be able to add anything there to that question.
Yeah, all subdivisions which are vested in council roads and then going forward, the cost of that development is sort for the developer, there's no cost of council.
It's not until it's vested to us that we take ownership, and we take ownership once we've got everything in the way we would like it to be. So all the signage, all the road markings and everything are done and they're signed off. They're vested to us from our assets.
And just further to the question answered by Councillor Elms, in terms of budget constraints, we've the statement about Ruamahana roads, they've highlighted the current budget allocated to the council is insufficient to cover all the identified maintenance needs, and that they will prioritise required work. Can you put a figure on the actual shortfall?
No, the list is substantial.
It's
a substantial list, and if we'd be wasting effort and time to try and.
But is it a third of the work or 50% of the work?
This is, I'll tell last year's inspection, we inspected 13 bridges, which all needed some significant work, and we've narrowed that down to 6, and then we narrowed it down to 2.
Could I just recommend, Chair, that for the next report that we can have some additional financial information?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right.
So can I just clarify that? You would like a total of how much it's going to cost us to repair all the bridges that we need work done?
It's just that you've got a statement here about that the budget is insufficient. I think it's it would be worthwhile actually having it in black and white somewhere, what that actually adds up to from a financial perspective. Yep, thanks.
I guess it'd be good to know whether or not we're 2 million short, 3 million short or whatever, so it'd be good to have a little bit of financial information on the, Mayor Fran, you had a question?
Oh, thanks, Chair. I just wondered about the programming for the EcoReef installation, which you said is going to begin next month.
Planned at the moment.
When do you think how long is that going to take?
It will take us a month to 6 weeks.
Okay, so
A while.
that's not too long.
Have everything on site ready to go?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Because we're getting into winter, so
Yes.
yeah.
We understand that. When we got the resource consent, there's so many conditions on the resource
Yeah.
consent. It's just added to the delays we were planning on having.
Yeah, I understand that.
Now.
Yeah.
Great.
6 weeks sounds all right. I mean, that's great.
You're not going to hold me to that, are you?
Yeah, okay.
We will do our best to get it done as quick as we can.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, things come along which cause delays, and we got the consent, and then Greg is doing a great job at actually getting all those balances and checks.
Yeah.
Sorted off, and they just add delays.
Thank you.
Just in terms of the speed management rollout of the signage, I understand that you've done some of the roads around the perimeter, what do they call them?
Very urban.
Very urban roads. Have you, and I heard the other day that we'd had a couple of signs destroyed on Underhill Road. Is that?
Not a couple.
Not a couple.
Not a couple. We put up a whole lot of signs on Friday, and they were all knocked down by Monday.
Oh, so you mean not a couple as in less, but as in lots more?
Lots more.
Oh,
Yeah, because I saw 2 of them.
Yeah, there's a lot more than 2.
so
That's,
do we have any?
That's across both councils.
That's both Carterton as well.
Yeah, Carterton are experiencing the same problem, yes.
And we're experiencing some vandalism on the new signage. Is that correct?
And I expect it will get worse as we go rural. And unfortunately, it is eating up budget. Because we have people that are just, we can see the nudge bar marks on the posts. They're just pushing them over deliberately.
So I have to say, we consulted widely on a speed management review, and we received a lot of really positive feedback from our community. I don't recall a lot of adverse feedback at all, and yet we're putting signage up now, and we're seeing some adverse reactions to do we have any idea of?
I think you've got 2 different parts of the community there. I think you've got the people that are caring about their local environment and the children and things, and then you've got people that are maybe a little bit more reckless.
Yeah, I must admit, it's really disappointing actually, and I'm
Well, it's just like to make it clear that it's increasing our work, and it's increasing the drain on our budget.
which is,
We've got hundreds of signs going up, which we don't have extra budget to look after.
yeah, okay, thanks, Graham. And it is a drain on our ratepayers' funds.
the chair, actually, can we do some more communication work on that? Around costings and vandalism and reporting of, if you see someone, something can be booked quickly.
Yeah, okay. Did you want to make a comment on that?
Yes, just
I'm
through
very
the
open.
through the chair, it's been a right across the structure group and community operations. Mentioned it in the last report. Vandalism, graffiti, things getting destroyed. It's an ongoing issue. We have in the past, we've publicised where we can without wanting to give notoriety to what's actually taking place. So it's quite a fine balance. That sometimes has an impact, but not often.
There's a lot of things happening on our road network which is impacting us. A lot of fly tipping is increasing.
Yeah.
People are finding it hard, so they're driving out to rural places and dumping the rubbish. The vandalism, the boy racers,
Petrol now.
racers and things like that as well.
That's just on our roading network. I'm very keen to hear from the next presenter on community assets. I just have a question from Aidan, I think.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Graham, in relation to that vandalism of it and the signs getting knocked over, and rather than just using, and I know it's going to be a cost issue, but rather than just using wooden posts, can we use steel posts, which would be a bit more durable and possibly cause a bit more damage to the offenders' vehicles and provide a bit more resistance to being knocked over?
It's a great idea, but you actually have to have things frangible at the side of the road so that if someone does hit them unintentionally, they break. So we can't put up things that are not going to move. We'll be pinning everything to oak trees otherwise. They don't move.
Yeah, well, they don't move.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Chair, I just support councillor Clark. I think if you actually gave some communication about the issue, but it's basically asking the public to help the council in identifying culprits. It's the same as the road burnouts. The silence on that, people are saying, well, what's the council doing? They don't know, or they don't know. They just start to think into that we're doing nothing. I think that we need to make it quite clear that we're very concerned by this, but we need the public help for it.
Perhaps we need to liaise with their comms team, just to get the message out there to the community, because obviously this is this is costing us dollars and cents costing it. So
Can I make a
We're not silent on it. We do have comms, but perhaps we need to have
ramp them up a
a
bit.
bit more. Yeah.
Can I make a comment on that?
Yeah, sure.
I think I've just had a recent conversation with Cardigan Council, and they have an attitude where, you know, they want to take action, but it's never serious action against someone who gets caught. I think if we publicly posted that, you know, this month we have found someone for fly tipping this amount of money, that the message would get out there. And unfortunately, both councils, I don't know about this one so much, but they don't want to do that.
We caught anyone, Chair, ever? Do we ever catch anyone?
It's a bit like fly tipping, and that we often get
Either.
a little.
We go through this rubbish. I've got
Oh, yeah.
photographs on my phone of people's names and addresses.
Do we find it? Do we know who they are?
Chair, at the
Yeah.
base meeting yesterday that Rob and I attended, they said it's actually generally not worth it because it takes so much off the officer's time in identifying the issues, reporting it. If it goes legally, there's lots of impact and costs there. So it's very rarely
Difficult.
worth it to actually do
I'm
it.
I'm sorry, but that's just a defeatist attitude. If we've got names and addresses, we should be following through to hold those people to account and to publicise the fact that there are people, and name and shame them, that are responsible for adding extra costs to our fellow ratepayers.
Thanks, Aidan. Thank you.
Chair, can I we need to finish this off. I think we should maybe ask to have a think about this. I agree it can be very difficult, and the names and addresses you find in the rubbish may not be those of the fly tipper, and that might be something that was sent to them by somebody else. But I do also agree that if we can have some action on somebody, it will be a bit of a deterrent. I'm just not sure how, we can't work out now, but maybe we can have another think about
I think.
how we manage this issue, because it's
Agreed.
quite big now.
Yeah,
It's taking a lot of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
thank you.
I'd really actually like to look at another way of addressing this, because I'm paying for premium tier 1 contractors to go and pick up rubbish.
It's nuts.
I'd rather a parks person who's got a ute who could just go out and pick up the rubbish, because it's costing you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you put in a proposal that you need to tell us?
I think we can expand this.
Have another think
Yeah,
about it.
at a future date. So thanks very much, Graham. Is there any other questions, Graham, before he goes? No, thank you. Thanks very much. Thanks, Graham.
Thanks a lot, Graham.
Okay. James, we're going to start community operations.
So just moving through into capital projects, and we'll start off with community operations. Melissa, if you'd like to move it on.
Thank you.
So,
Sorry, that might have been loud on the microphone, Aidan. I was a bit clunky there. Thanks everybody for having me today. We've had another good month of delivery for community operations. Since the last meeting, we've completed the recruitment for the principal advisor for asset management and the GIS and data analyst, and they're both in post. Our asset manager has been out with our previous contractor, building some of the asset database today, which is great. They've both hit the ground running. The asset manager is currently building a base of our data and a single source of truth for assets, and working with the consultant to update and implement the asset management system, finalising asset management plans. So we're really excited about the progress that's been made in that space already. We've closed off some more projects this month, and a few further 10 projects are scheduled to begin and complete in the next 2 months, which is very exciting. And we're beginning our preparations for the long-term plan. We're very fortunate that a lot of our community groups and organisations that we work with are keen to come forward to us to talk about some of their ideas, but we're encouraging people to start thinking about that in the wider community and gathering some intel about those as well in preparation for our workshops. The highlights over the last time, since the last meeting. The first of the Welcome to Featherston signs have been reinstalled, the first one in the Featherston Peace Garden. We've been using local contractors for that and working really closely with the Featherston Beautification Group to get that done, which is, it's been some, we haven't done an official post about it yet, but people in the community have noticed it, and there's been some really positive comment about that on social media so far. The Lake Ferry Playground was completed, and well, completed enough to open in time for Easter break. We've just got some more work to do on the mini golf and on one of the swing sets. So that will be closed after Anzac weekend. We just wanted to make sure it was open for the long weekend then for some additional works, but the community group have been informed and they're super happy with the progress that we got it open for Easter. And with Elisa's great communication throughout all of that work as well. A long-standing heights access project is now underway, so that's all booked in to take place. That'll be making sure that our buildings, our community buildings, are safe and compliant for those working at heights. That's been on the CapEx lines for a few years, so it's good to get progress on that. And the Payne Farm housing works have been completed. It's now advertised for tenanting. They were capturing some of the assets there today while it was untenanted. So that's great work by the team as well. And of course, as James noted, the Joy Cowley Playground is up for an award at the Green Pavlova Awards. And we're continuing to work with Comms to promote our successes, and working with them on a project's webpage to keep the public informed of plans and progress in perhaps a slightly more accessible format than these documents, even though I know they're public as well. Coming up, the Greytown Centre repiling first phase went really well. The second phase will start in May and then that will be completed. We've had the toddler pool at Martinborough, had some new fiberglassing, and the Featherston and Greytown pools have had some upgrades to the surfacing as well. And we've made some great progress on the Carkeek Observatory. So we're hoping that in the next couple of weeks, works will start on that. Again, working with local contractors. They're meeting with the archaeologist out there, I think next week or the week after, to start the foundation work for that, which is very exciting. Another long-standing project. We have had some underspend on project delivery. So we're tracking slightly below our estimated expenditure, and we still have 3 quite high budget activities to complete in the next few weeks, so or couple of months, sorry. So we are slightly under, but that's not due to inaction or under delivery. It's just some cost saving and some big budget things coming in at the end of the year. Moving on to resource recovery, unless anyone has any questions about the community operations side of things.
Any questions just in relation to that? Aidan, have you got your hand up? No, it's fine.
No.
Okay. Sorry, Rob.
It might be covered or coming up. I noted that the Parks and Open Spaces contract tender has been released to the market.
Oh, sorry, the ROI has been released. I didn't mention that one in my thing, but we had our calls with the first round today, and then the RFP will be released in the next few days.
So prior to that being released, was any consideration given to a shared service arrangement with neighbouring councils? James?
Are you okay to answer that? We have considered it. I don't think it would work well in this district. It's just, yeah, I think we're moving forward with the way that works best for South Wairarapa at this stage.
And just a note of thanks in terms of the work that you do in our community, because we get a lot of feedback on the things that people can see. And they've been really, it's been really positive, the feedback lately. And also I'd like to personally from the memorial, the lighting at the War Memorial in Featherston prior to Anzac Day and getting that operational. So I really appreciate it. Right.
Moving on.
Go on.
Resource recovery and waste updates. We had a big win in the last month. Just to note as well that the waste summary reporting at the time of writing, the March figures weren't released. So when you receive these reports, they'll be about a month behind, just the way the timings line up. But huge news last report was that the contamination rate for curbside recycling was down to 3.6%, which was the lowest rate in all of New Zealand at the time. Just for context, the usual average is 17%. So contamination, they mean either food waste left in the recycling so it can't be processed the same, or things mixed in with the recycling as well. So we're not quite sure why that is yet. We're celebrating it and we're working with it, and we hope it continues as a trend. Again, just touching on the previous on Graham's reporting as well, we are seeing an increase in illegal dumping again. What's really frustrating is a lot of the items that are being dumped are recyclables, which are free for people to dispose of. So we're doing some thinking about what initiatives can happen to make recycling more accessible for people, noting that when speaking with our waste experts across the three councils, and Councillor Clark and Councillor Taylor will remember from the conversation the other day, that you can put all of the initiatives in place, but it still requires people to follow through with it. So there is a big work around education to happen as well alongside that. It's not just about putting in more or better infrastructure, it's making sure that we're empowering people to use it and that they care enough to use it. And just touching on the fine system for that, we do know that only around 12% of infringement fines are ever paid through illegal dumping. So it's something to consider when talking about going down those routes as well. The joint waste contract tender with Wairarapa closed on the 13th of March. Evaluations have been completed and we hope to be able to share that news soon. We did manage to keep the curbside collection going at Ngawi despite the bridge's weight limit, which was great for the community there. And we're moving forward with the 3-station overview. We had the initial draft report presented to us a couple of weeks ago, so they're just going back to look at the next stages of the report, and then that will be shared more widely with the group as well. And the recycling bins clip rollout was successful, so that's been the trial, sorry, was successful, so that's been rolled out to all of the households as well. And in the WMMP upcoming actions, we have waste levy distribution charges under consideration by the central government. They will be going up by $5 per tonne from July, so will be $70 per tonne. And there's some work going on with the team about the review of event waste management plans underway. So they've been working very closely with groups like Featherston Booktown, Martinborough Fair to look at better waste minimisation and resource recovery initiatives through them as well, which again is part of the education piece. Those are the highlights from that. Any questions?
Any questions for that segment?
So nice to see.
Lovely, isn't it? Very well, written reporting. Yeah, thank
Thank you very much.
Have it off. Well, it just shows you the amount of information that's coming through. There's not so many questions.
Can I just
Dear
ask a
friend.
question? Thanks, Chair, on the being top of the pops in terms of recycling. Is that just a one-off, or was that a trend that was going, you know, more better and better?
At the moment, I mean, the recycling is very seasonal, so you'll see times of the year where it will drop off anyway. What we did hear from
Yeah.
Andy is that it's at a time of year when it's usually quite high, so it is an anomaly, but they're doing some more, I guess research is a strong term, but doing some more digging and stuff around why that might be and whether there's something that we can capitalize on there and try and keep that as a trend, or yeah, what we can do.
Excellent. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry.
You're right. Can I just say, I've noticed a real change, like at the transfer stations, that, you know, it's quite a happy staff there, and they actually encourage for people to do the right thing. That's been quite nice.
Thank you. We'll pass that on to the contractor. Thank you.
No further questions? Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, thank you. We'll move into water now. Peter, if you'd like to come up to the table and take us through the water capital projects.
Welcome, Peter.
Mr. Chair. Water, I guess 3 waters. In summary, we are continuing to deliver on the objective of getting the long-term plan projects completed by 1st July 2027. I guess I should be honest and say that some of those projects, as mentioned before, will be transferred over to the council-controlled organisation, those that extend beyond 1st July 2027. That's not a failure. That is just that the long-term plan sort of had to be chopped off at the intended handover to the CCO, and some of those programs were always going to run over that time. So we're actually hoping to accelerate that and hand over as little as possible. Some project lines are just amalgamated as normal. I guess we remain challenged by being quite a light team, and we'll continue to face some difficulty finding super experienced staff to add to that. But nonetheless, we are boxing on. So the next slide is the start of the project by project dashboard. Beginning with the Tauwhāranako River Pipeline renewal. So that project is on track for completion this month. And the handover from Fulton Hogan contractor through us to our operator, Wellington Water. There's a site visit planned to walk over and make sure that goes well. The big connection, as mentioned before, has been done, and so water is flowing into the town through that new pipeline and successfully filling the reservoir, etc. So yes, that was a well-handled, high-risk construction project. Fulton Hogan have requested that they be given permission to present this project to Civil Contractors New Zealand Awards, and we've said sure. Yeah, endorse that idea. For a company that was facing stiff criticism, the particular project team that we dealt with, we started out being a little worried because there were a lot of clarification notices coming through, and we thought, oh, here we go. But in actual fact, on balance, those clarification notices were evidence of very good, rigorous stewardship by 2 young, upcoming, hopefully future project engineers, project managers, and they were actually a delight to work with all in all. And hats off also to our contracts manager, Bruce Vincent, for steering that particular ship. So any credit is due to those people. Thank you. The Martinborough Greytown wastewater treatment plant compliance and growth. So this is a big project, as you can see by the budget. That budget again is the long-term plan contribution to an overall program of a little bit more, hopefully not a lot more. And the hopefulness is because our evaluation team is evaluating the open tenders that were received for the upgrades of the Martinborough and Greytown, and in addition to that, the Featherston, which is the next line down, wastewater treatment plant works. So I hope they finish their job soon and provide us with certainty around being able to award that contract under the auspices of the line items. On other matters, we recently held a porphyry. We were invited to a porphyry with Papua Marae, which, thank you to those that were there, went very well. And I've been able to reapply for a consent adjustment to the location of the geobags as endorsed by Papua Marae. And of course, there's always a boondoggle, and so I'm just going through a bit of administrative handing over from Wellington Water to South RPDC to be allowed to modify that consent. And then discussions with contractors will begin to renew that desludging at Greytown. That's pretty much all she wrote for Martinborough and Greytown. Consultation, of course, Lagoimas and other forms of consultation have been a heavier than expected workload, substantially, and many of you councillors appreciated your contributions to answering and facilitating some of that conversations with interested parties, which is ongoing. The Featherston upgrade in particular, we've begun the riparian planting. It's going to be obviously planted before or during the planting season, so just submitting the final planting plan to Greater Wellington there. Hopefully this week. I had a couple of comments back to the contractor, and hopefully they can turn that around quite quickly and get us underway with that. And some of the compliance documents, management plans are underway as well, and has been discussed with the compliance sampler Eurofins to make sure of their practicality. We have a meeting after this with the Featherston Community Board to answer some questions or just outline the scope of works anticipated there. The Greytown Water Treatment Plant Upgrade Stage 3 is, I guess I've marked it as red. It's a little bit behind the 8 ball on that one. We have been holding this back a bit because the implementation of it coincides with Wellington Water's works to finally replace the existing bore pump, which they had a go at and didn't really work out very well. And discovered that the anticipated pump wasn't going to work, so they had to find a new pump. And I look forward to that being replaced because, as we all know, that particular pump is operating most days of the year and has been showing signs of failure or difficulties. So I'm just giving that a wide berth to let them get that sorted, and then we'll return to putting the the Memorial Park implementation of the containerised water treatment plant and new bore into action.
Peter, sorry, I'm just, if we could work our way through a little bit quicker, I want councils to have the opportunity to ask questions. So I know it's great having this level of detail, a lot of detail on your thing there, but if you could just perhaps work through it a bit quicker, great. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, riveting it up. Next slide, there are 4 here. They're all encountering difficulties. The top one is on track for delivery and completion. And since the writing of this report, we've obtained the KRL deed of grant, so we are back on track for that project. And the other main project is the third one down, which is on track for completion in May next month. So we're getting through the work. Any questions?
Brilliant. Well done. Thank you. I think Aidan had his hand up first, and then you, boss. Aidan, did you ask a question? Peter?
Thanks a lot, Chair. Thanks again, Peter, for all your work. I would just like to say that that's a really great news story about the Tauwhara-Nikau pipeline. After all the discussions that had occurred over the previous years about that, to get that to this stage, that's awesome. You've got on the report here the budgeted cost, the forecast cost, and where do you think and how far away will it be before we get the actual final costings of that project?
So it will not be far away at all. The forecast cost is the most current forecast we have, and the project managers, Bruce is not expecting it to be much different from that value.
That's awesome. Thanks a lot. Much appreciated. My final question is, you mentioned the contracts or the tenders for the wastewater treatment plant upgrades and how you are doing or you've put all three plants up for tender at the same time. Is that with the view towards creating or finding efficiencies and working through that process by having three tenders for three plants going at once?
Yes, that was a very closed question, councillor, so I'm just going to say yes. But also please don't miss off that it also creates an opportunity to standardise the delivery so that in the future all three plants will look and operate very similarly. So that's another advantage there. And the third advantage was that it created an excellent opportunity for interested and motivated civil and mechanical contractors to be interested in our part of the world. Whereas if they were chopped up into smaller projects, we might have been missed out or missed out on some of their interest.
That's great. That's thanks a lot, Peter, for thinking outside the square and looking at possible efficiencies and to streamline those three projects for council and the ratepayers. Cheers.
Thank you, councillor. Whilst you're
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Peter. Of Aidan's comments, but Greytown water treatment plant upgrade 4 years ago, we were told how dangerous this was and how urgent this was and how close to breaking point this was. It was still at the design stage. It's been delayed to a shortage of staff. Then you just said you're going to give it a wide berth for a while. Can you just explain what are we waiting for here? Why is this still? Well, the pump was not fit for purpose. We've had 4 years to deal with this.
So within the program, or the urgency of the program, the existing pump is the big problem, and the expectation was that pump would be replaced like for like, and that is now what's happening or is going to happen. The water treatment plant and migration of that existing infrastructure out of the Memorial Park car park will follow on from that. But without being able to know that the power supply can supply both pumps at once, you are always looking in that location at only one pump being operable at any one time. So it was important to me to make sure that we didn't set up any barriers to getting those works done to provide what should have been done a long time ago to maintain and operate that existing pump. Once that's done and that barrier is I guess cleared, then the way is clear to allow us to then put a second pump in and know that when we need to run that second pump, that we can get the primary pump back up and running again. Without that, it's a huge risk to the project to put a bore pump online for testing and then at the end of that day and be unsure whether the primary pump can start up again. So
I just identified this now.
I don't think it's been just identified now. I think it's been something in play for a while that hasn't been dealt with adequately by getting the original pump seen to. Yeah.
I guess my final question on that was: is there a time frame around this? A timeline we can expect?
I don't know the time frame that Wellington Water are working to. I know that they tried in March and found that their plan wasn't going to work, and that they had to come back and get the new identical pump to what's in there right now on order. All I know about their program is that it's not going to be done over the Anzac weekend, but I chase up on the maintenance activity. They do know that they want to get it done before June the 30th. So it's imminent from that perspective.
Thanks, Peter, appreciate it.
No, thanks, Peter. Yeah, it's obviously quite frustrating because.
Mickey Mouse is the phrase that comes to mind, Chair.
All right, if there's any other questions of Peter, otherwise we'll move on. Thank you very much for your work, Peter. Excellent. James, back to you.
Mindful of time, Chair, as you mentioned, the next slides are land transport capital projects. The information is there. Probably really open for any questions. The cover note there talking about the majority of those projects are expected to be delivered this financial year. So rather than have a blow-by-blow description, I have both Tim and Graham here if there are any questions.
Excellent. Do we have any questions from committee members? Hayden has a hand up to him. No? No questions about land transport? We'll move on in that case. Presume everybody's satisfied with the report they've got there. Right. So we need to. I've missed the step, haven't I? Yeah. So we need to. Would somebody like to move that we receive that? Thank you.
I'll second it.
Second it. Thanks, Hayden. All in favour? Against? Carol,
Aye.
thank you. There, isn't it? Yep, excellent. Got it right. Okay, let's move on to land transport, section 17A review. Are you going to talk to this, Mr. O'Connor?
Yes, I'll largely take this paper as read. So section 17A review is something that is done quite often with large contracts. It's primarily looking at the arrangements for the delivery as opposed to contract performance or anything like that. This report unfortunately was actually meant to come to you earlier for reasons sort of unknown to me. It didn't, so it's reached you a little bit late, so apologies for that. I guess the summary from the review is that there was nothing significant that came out in terms of changing the way we deliver, and there are a few points more sort of minor around things that we should have a look at and consider, such as governance, which is mentioned in the report and the summary. So that's a quick overview.
Yeah, no, thanks, James. This is a dated report now to some extent. I think you said it was due to us about the midway through last year. Is that correct, May, June last year? And unless there's any burning questions, then Aidan's got his hand up. Okay. Aidan, you've got a question.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, James and Janice. I don't know if you're there, but it's good to see this report come through at last. I suppose, I think you made the comment, James, that it's primarily talking about the delivery options as opposed to operational side of things or performance. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
I think I'm interested I suppose I've got questions. I'm interested in as to why I suppose there was only 3 delivery options considered. In the report, I was also interested as to why those 3 delivery options were only judged against the objectives and the weightings that were used back in 2019 when the last 17A report was done prior to Ruamahanga Roads being established. I mean, that was over 6 years ago now, and you know, the world has changed. I just don't understand, and I don't know whether you could provide any detail as to why those objectives and ratings were just cherry picked from the original one in 2019. I'm also.
Question. I'm sorry, I'm trying to move on, but if you have a specific question, if you could, that'd be really great. Thank you.
The report mentions that these issues that need to be addressed, they've identified issues that need to be addressed, and I'm keen to understand when will those issues be addressed, and when we will have an opportunity to ensure that the performance improves, because as the levels of service, I mean, while the report and you say that everything's going well, these issues been identified and these ratepayers as well as, you know, councillors that know that there are challenges there. You know, we've got challenges with things not being carried out, like culverts and water tables, you know, the resealing jobs that are occurring. We see that potholes develop in those, that pothole or the resealing job that happened on Bidwell's Cutting Road prior to Christmas, and short time afterwards there were 3 potholes that occurred, which needed to be remediated, and that's the cost for ratepayers, but it's also cost for Fulton Hogan, because they've got to go away from their programmed work to go and carry out the remediation and the repairs. So I'm really keen to see when we can work out when those improvements or have some feedback or provide feedback as to how those improvements or you know, to remediate those issues identified, when can that occur?
It's quite a bit to answer.
Just one question, specific question. That's obviously there are some level of interest on some of the things that needed to be viewed. Just some feedback to council on the areas that were identified.
Yeah, I guess first of all, I'll then invite Graham to speak as well. As I talked about, this isn't looking at the performance of the contract. It's there's another paper further on where I'll talk about one of the tools that we use for that. But I'll then invite Graham to comment.
Yeah, I don't want to dwell all afternoon on this, but I'd certainly like Councillor Elms' question answered if that's possible. Thanks. Yeah.
All I'd like to say about that is that we are actually improving considerably. The monthly pace is a way of us measuring and controlling and having open conversations with our contractor. And there has been a noticeable shift since the pace has been done in the last 8 months. We were the low 70s, high 60s, and we're now at 93. The contractor do take it seriously when we do this. And unfortunately, roading, we're not living in the ideal world. Sometimes a digger will go on a road at the end of a seal and it will dig up the road and you will have a pothole. It's how it's dealt with at the end of the day. And they have come to the party and they make those repairs under my management and my instruction. So I'm a little bit concerned that you think we're not getting that great service. We are improving our service, and it's been noticeable.
Thank you. Aidan, did you have anything to add before we move on?
Thanks for that feedback, Graham. I suppose I'd be keen to perhaps, you know, have some discussions later on offline to see you know, how those issues which were identified in that review can be identified. Well, they've already been identified, but you know, they can be remediated, or, you know, things put in place to close them off.
The biggest issue in that report was the governance, and that has been completely addressed. James and myself now attend the governance meeting, and we actually hold Fulton Hogan to account on anything that we feel that needs to be done. So that governance has made a big shift in the way that our contractors deal with us.
Excellent. Thank you, Graham.
That's all I've got to say to that, really.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Okay, any other further questions?
One partially addressed.
Sorry?
It might have been partially.
Sure. Do you have a question?
Yes. I'd like to know that with the last 2 points, but one where it refers to co-governance, effort, and like instruction, discipline, etc., and rigor about risk management practices. You know, because it's a co-governance sharing agreement, and you know, we're moving towards those more. I'd like to know how that's being addressed in terms of strengthening those processes.
Which page are you referring to?
Yeah, which page?
41.
41.
Not the last point from the bottom, but the 2 above that, where it's saying that, you know, lots of the stuff is great, but there's some processes and structure and rigor missing in practices. So I'd like to know how those are being strengthened.
Would have been governance.
Yeah. Go.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. It's primarily answered by Graham expanding a bit on governance.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that okay, Councillor Clark, or do you want a little bit more detail?
Well, I just want to know that it's addressed
Yeah.
and that I think these are significant
Yep.
areas of concern that have been identified in terms of good governance practice. And I want to know that they've been clearly addressed.
So simple answer is yes.
Okay.
It is, it's mentioned on page 68.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, any further questions?
I just had one,
Sorry, I got two.
not a question.
Yeah.
Chair, just wanted to suggest that when we get into our LTP, there's some really good stuff in here.
Yeah, there is.
Large drainage renewals appear to be behind intended investment levels. That's really important for us, particularly with what's happening, and culvert renewal related to that.
Yep.
We have to look at that and funding for that. And also, it says despite the, while it's cost efficient with the money applied, overall combined asset condition is probably not improving. So we've got some real issues with roading. And we know that roads and bridges have got to be our priority, and we need to look at this report to say where we need to put more money in.
If you've got a note of that, James, and because it'd be worth cherry picking some of the stuff out of here, like logical thinking for long-term planning. So thanks for that. Thank you for raising that. Rob, did you have a?
Just 2 points. Firstly, I'm assuming there was a terms of reference for the review compiled. That's the first thing. Just a question. Secondly, I see in the conclusion there is I'll just quote it, the current transportation service delivery arrangements have been analysed as part of this review and are very cost effective. I'm assuming that's an assumption that was tested by council officers. That's a yes. Yep. Yeah, what about the terms of reference?
For the review.
Yeah. Yes.
Somebody, do you want to speak to that?
The Sydney review is section 17A of the Government Act.
Yeah, right.
Because it defines
Yep.
what needs to go, it was carried out.
So the question then is, do you think the review complied with what's required under section 17A? Okay, thanks.
Okay, any further questions relating to that? Excellent. There we go. So we need to receive this information, don't we know? Yep. So I'd like somebody to move that we receive this information.
I'll move that.
Yep, thanks, Aidan. Seconded by Chris. Is that right, Chris? Thank you. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Sorry, did you? He's only got to solve that.
Oh, you can't, no, question, no. So Rachel, yep, happy to second that. Councillor Clark, thank you. All in favour, aye. Against? I think we did that. Yeah, we did. It's getting late in the day. That's not me, friend.
It's not time yet, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mr. O'Connor, and thank you very much for your team in doing their presentations. Really appreciate it. We're going to move on now to the Wairarapa Tararua establishment and transition update. Catherine, do you want to move forward and give us a bit of an overview of the work that you've been doing in the past or in the future and now?
Finished and to come. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just a regular update that we'll do every couple of months with the committee, just an opportunity to talk through some of the highlights of the couple of months just gone and what we are focused on going forward. So the main, I guess, takeaway out of here is we're reaching quite a major milestone tomorrow and looking forward to seeing those of you who are able to join us at the welcome for the board members. So this really closes out the first part of our program where we said by this point we would have a board in place, we'd be ready to incorporate a company, and then we'd move into the major kind of operational transition part of the program. So very exciting to be at this point and have completed this part of the work largely on time, which is great work by the team and everyone involved. Board induction starts, well, actually it started last Friday. So we've had a first session with the board and we have a whole day with them tomorrow, getting them across all of the major priorities in the program, and then getting them ready to make all of the critical decisions that are lining up for them to make. And I've identified what some of those are here in the paper. So we will, and I will send you towards the end of the day the names of the board who will be announced tomorrow, just so you have a heads up prior to that. We've got 5 board members coming on board who have exceptional governance experience across the infrastructure sectors and very strong connections to this region and communities, which I think is a really fantastic combination of qualities. We've programmed out board meetings the year, and the board is really keen to make sure that they are getting around the 4 districts, understanding the assets and all of those issues that you've just been talking about in previous papers. So this is going to be a key focus of theirs over the year, to make sure that they are out and about, meeting people, meeting staff, understanding the issues and the condition of the assets and everything across the district. So that's fantastic. Another major area of work that we've started in the last couple of months is the development of the the statement of expectations with the stakeholders forum. So we had the first session with the forum just before Easter, and we have a first draft of that, which I'll be circulating back around next Friday, and then that you will have an opportunity with your forum members to be discussing what's in there. So that process is well underway as well. I guess the rest of the report just reflects the critical areas of work that we'll be seeking early board decisions on. One of those is the initiating the search for the chief executive. I expect that we will be out in the market at the beginning of May for that position. So please encourage all those who you might know near and far who may be interested in that role. We're also preparing to begin a search for an office location, and then to make some early decisions around staff transfer, debt transfer, and procurement of new digital systems. What else can I tell you? Those are probably the highlights, I think, but happy to take any questions.
Excellent, some fantastic work. It moved at pace, obviously, since the beginning of this triennium anyhow, so I'm very pleased. Any questions from any committee members at this stage?
Probably not a question, just a comment. I think we should place on the record the considerable work that's been done by Catherine in terms of getting it to this point tomorrow.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've worked with Catherine since the inception. Basically, local board has done well, and her level of commitment is astronomical, and it's obviously carried on through the stage. So thank you, Catherine. Much appreciated. Yeah. Any questions? No questions?
Yes, Chair.
Oh, right. Sorry about that, Aidan. I can't see in the back of me.
No, it's okay. Thanks, Catherine. I'm just interested on the progress of, you commented on the statement of expectations. From an elected member perspective, I'm really keen to see those drafts, and I see that it's scheduled to come through to us. Is it June or something? I think as South Y, we've been the only council out of all 4 that have been involved in the CCO type model with Wellington Water, and we've known and we've experienced those challenges that we've had. I'm just really keen to ensure that that the statements of expectation is set up so that we can the new entity performs really well, so that we can hold the board members and also the SLT to account better than what we were able to do in a past life for the past company.
Yeah, so I could make a couple of comments on that. So we will schedule a formal briefing for all the councils in June, when we kind of have an 80% draft and have had, at that point, the board will have had an opportunity to see it. But you will your forum members will get the first draft of it next Friday, and so you can start discussing it amongst yourselves from then on. And that briefing in June is just an opportunity to make sure that we formally get everybody across it at the point at which it's fairly well advanced and take any feedback for finalising at that point. In terms of the sort of the holding to account and things, one of the key differences in this legislative framework that isn't in place with Wellington Water is a legislative obligation to give effect to this statement. So that is different from the arrangements that are in place at the moment. Of course, it's beholden on the forum and you as shareholders to give effect to the giving effect to,
Yes.
and to make sure that those, you know, that you are performing that role in a really robust way. But there will be some details in the statement around the frequency of meetings, the nature of the information that has to be reported back in those meetings, what has to come through the formal reporting, all of those kinds of the details of the structure that will give you the ability to hold to account will be set out in that statement. And the other thing that we will put in there is some information requiring the company to tell you how it plans to give effect to it. So as well as setting out what you want to see in terms of reporting and all of that kind of thing, there will be an obligation on them to tell you how they're going to give effect to that as well. So there are some key differences in there, but absolutely as we've talked about before, it relies on the whole machine and all of the different components and ways of ensuring successful delivery to kind of come together and to all pull in that direction.
Yes.
Fran,
Thanks, Catherine.
Yeah, Chair, just wanted to also say that there is now a water regulator which will be looking over their shoulder in terms of safety and, you know, all the rest of it. And that was not set up prior to Wellington Water Committee being established, and the rot set in that committee in terms of the culture of it, in my view, and no decent overview many years ago, when it's just gone over a long period of time. And I think the water regulator and a decent, robust statement of expectations is going to be quite a big difference. But we have to perform as well.
And the
The
regulator.
committee has to question the board.
Yeah, so the regulator is part of the Commerce Commission, is it not?
It's what's it called?
Oh.
Yeah,
There's multiple regulators.
No.
I'm thinking about the water regulator.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
There's the environmental regulation.
It's kind
Much, I don't,
of an
That's
oversight
what I'm
as well.
talking about.
they do, and that's entirely new. And the value in that oversight is the benchmarking and comparative assessment. So all water companies across the country will be having to report on their financial performance, their asset management performance, all of those things. And over time, it takes a time to build a picture, but over time we'll be able to assess this company against its peers across the country, and as will the regulator. And that's a material difference as well.
It'll be hugely different.
Yeah. Thanks, Catherine. Thanks for all your work.
Yeah.
No questions? Thanks a million. No more
Thanks,
problems
thank you.
tomorrow, I imagine.
Looking forward to it.
Look at the introduction of the new board members, so I'm very keen to know who they are.
I'll send that around this afternoon so that you'll see them ahead of tomorrow. Yep.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Catherine.
Sorry.
One assumes it would be embargoed.
Absolutely. In confidence until.
Yeah, yeah. Just before, I need a mover and a seconder for receiving that information report. Do we have a mover? Yeah, thanks. Councillor Clark, thanks. Councillor Bosley, mover and seconder, all in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Righto, 10.4, roading contract management, use of PACE tool.
Right.
You want to lead this?
Thank you, Chair, I will.
Yes.
I'll take the detail of the paper as read, but I just wanted to summarise a few things. So this largely came out of some comments from the last meeting around general questions around how we manage contracts, how do we ensure things are being done as they should be. So I used roading as a bit of an example here. PACE is, as Graham referred to before, is the performance and contract evaluation framework. So it's one of a number of tools that we use in the roading space with our contract management. Other tools and things that we sometimes don't have a choice to use. We get audited by NZTA. We have a Audit New Zealand audits. We've got Section 17A reviews, the one you just had a look at, PACE. Inspections that happen out on the road to see jobs, how things have been going. Governance that we talked about, the co-governance with the contractor, and an array of external reports, be they on projects or perhaps how the business unit is operating things. So there are a number of tools that are used that give us assurance around how the contract is performing, and broad brush across those is that we are seeing pretty positive results, and each of those tools then provide us with ways that we could improve, as we've talked about a bit before. So coming back to PACE, it's a monthly performance tool. It essentially allows Graham and his team to really score the contractor on a number of items that you'll see in the report and in the appendix. Then have a meeting, and this is all formally done in terms of, you know, so how have we thought the contractor's gone, and then they have basically a right of reply. So quite a collaborative, mutually agreed piece of work that happens monthly, and then the results are formally issued through what we call an NTC, or a notice to the contractor. So it's quite a formal mechanism, works pretty well, has some actions that come out of it for either party to do to improve things. And as Graham talked about before, as I've noted here, there's been quite a positive upward trend in the PACE scores, sitting quite high out of 100, which shows a really good improvement in the relationship and the performance of the contractor. So I'd really leave it open there for questions.
Very good. Comprehensive, actually. So, Whitty, do we have any questions? Please hand up on it.
Chair, I've just got a,
Yep, sure.
Because thanks for that, and thanks for the report. I think overall it's assessed as being a useful mechanism for evaluating performance. You did mention some of the audits that have been undertaken, and I did note, having gone and had a look, that the Auditor General has also raised some issues, primarily around application and implementation. So this is around some inconsistencies in terms of application across various projects, you know, those who are contracted to either deliver or assess the projects, evaluate differently. And then you get some pushback from the contractors themselves on the evaluation. So in terms of your work that you're doing, how are you managing this?
Not quite sure what the question.
Well, it's the implementation and it's the use of PACE.
Yeah.
In terms of just ensuring there's consistency on how the evaluations take place across all your projects. The people who are doing the application of PACE, are they, you know, they adequately trained, they get refreshed and evaluation and that type of thing?
You mean in terms of operating the PACE tool? So PACE is run.
They're a single person?
No. So it's run. So there are representatives from the contractor, from the rating team, and also the engineer to the contract is effectively like a mediator, if you will, in the middle there. They score appropriately through PACE. They then meet and discuss those scores, and then mutually agree whatever that, you know, one might be too high, one might be too low. So it's not one person that's going through and doing it. It's a group effort.
And your feedback from the audit is generally positive?
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent. Any further questions? Yeah, Councillor Clark.
Not related to roading, but you said you use this for a number of other things that you do, was that right?
Not
PACE. It's used in roading.
PACE is used in roading. It could be used in another. Well, I guess I'll wait for your question first.
Are you using it for other things?
Not PACE in particular, but through some of the approaches to market that we've done recently. We have had other tools very similar to this that have come through when we're getting into the stage of contract negotiation and how do we manage that contract going forward, which are very similar tools to then give us a monthly score sheet really that we can use in collaboration with the contractor.
Okay, any further questions?
Yes.
Sorry. Oh, Aid, go for it, mate.
Yep. Thanks, Chair. Thanks for that explanation, James. How long have you been using PACE, and is that a result of some of that feedback from that 17A review?
PACE, I'm not sure when it was first started. It's been around for quite some time, and it's been used before the 17A. Probably nodding of head to the side. Graham, yep. So it's not as a result of the 17A. It's a tool that's been used for quite some time. I'm just not sure when it was first started.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, I suppose I'm just keen to see. I mean, while you're saying that the marks have increased from the 60s or low 70s up to where it is now at 93. And sure, continuous improvement is great, but again, I think just getting the feedback from ratepayers, while the staff and the contractors are rating themselves and the ratings are getting higher, the feedback from ratepayers would suggest that there would still need to be some improvement in some cases, and I know, Graham, you said that you're driving and having those conversations with the contractors, but I'd just like to see where we can make some improvements and drive some increased or some better levels of service.
So just so I can get a clear understanding, and you're asking for improvements in the way that PACE is used, or specifically to what area you're talking about? I'm a bit confused on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see that there's a measurement, but perhaps how can we move from this and then get some good positive feedback from from ratepayers,
okay,
so that we can see something to compare.
I just asked Stefan. He's signaled that he may be able to clarify things.
I'm sorry to
That's all right.
chip in from the cheap seats, chair, but I do think it's important to note that what we're required to do is set a level of service that the contractor has to meet through the contract. And then we ensure through the various mechanisms that James has outlined that they meet that level of service. Now, and we do that well, I think. But that's not to say that that level of service is set in a way that's going to satisfy every ratepayer out there or every councillor out there for that matter. And that is a question for the table through the LTP process as to whether the level of service is being set correctly. But it's really important to distinguish between the contractor meeting a level of service and the contract, and whether that level of service is appropriately set in order to guarantee the asset.
No, that's great. So I'm quite keen to move on this. And Aidan, are you quite happy if we carry on this discussion further in our LTP conversations, just so that we can monitor that level of service? Yeah, that'll be good. Rather, because we're not finding it being definitive here today. I think it's just really important that those conversations are noted and we can carry on with it. Okay. Anything else?
I'm just keen to flag it. Thank you.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thanks for doing that. Yeah. Any further? Right. So I'll have somebody move that we receive that report. Thank you, Councillor Bosley. Do a seconder. Thank you, Mayor Fran. All in favour? Aye. Against?
Aye.
Okay. Where are we? Where are we up to? I've got to find where on the action items. 10.5. What have we got? So, Amy, do you want to talk to any officers? Do you want to talk? We've got We've got two open items, have we not? Well,
Two.
Yep, so Mr. O'Connor, you may be able to talk to the two open items. Getting tongue tied. It's getting hungry.
Do you want to be?
James, would you like to talk to the two open items being briefing on Moroa and Longwood? And I understand that there've been a delay in getting these reports back to this forum. Yeah, and you and I have had a discussion, so I accept that. But it would be nice to have a little note on the side there, too. Sure. For whatever reason, that would be useful. Yeah.
In terms of the other one around
Yep.
waste management, there was a briefing given, perhaps not to all council, but to some councillors. So probably the question is whether a briefing to whole of council around waste management, WMP, etc. is needed.
I think it would be
Arrange that.
useful because some of us went to see one place, but I think that a general briefing would be really helpful for everybody. Doesn't need to be a whole morning, it can be
Yep.
put in 4 after something.
Councillor Clark, go.
There was also a discussion about a road trip, and I do feel that would be useful to see how its name's going to go out of my mind. Te Whoro Way, the new waste centre at there, Otahi, which is outstanding, and I think it's useful for people to see an outstanding example, and then to look at our own facilities, because that's quite a big component, I imagine, of long-term plan thinking.
So you'd like to suggest?
And people and briefing might be chatting along the way and information given without not being said.
Those, James? Yeah, no, that'll be excellent. Thanks. That's okay. All right. We need to move and see where are we, Naomi? No, nothing else on there. We're quite happy with that. Yeah. Okay. By the way, the urgent business with agenda. Oh, we have, haven't we? Yeah. Is that on my agenda here? Where is this on the run sheet? On the run sheet? Yeah.
It's about the paper.
Oh, yeah, here it is. Here, yeah. So we're moving that's not in public excluded, is it?
No.
No, that's fine. So 10.6 Martinborough wastewater treatment plant state. This is a update report. So I'll hand it over to you, Mr. Fowler, to talk to your report. Yeah,
Thank you. I'll invite Greg and Jean to come to the table.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Hi, Jen.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Greg Lee. By the way, I don't think we met before, but that's good. Thanks for accepting this paper under urgency. So thank you very much for your patience with that. We're going to tag team it, Jen and I. So I was just going to quickly introduce the subject and then allow Jen to go through some of the outcomes of the consultation engagement activity that we've undertaken. I think before I start that, just a big shout out, if that's the appropriate terminology, to Councillor Adrian Elms and the Mayor for assisting us with this. So in terms of actually in the hands dirty, coming out on site with us to meet the community, arranging meetings, taking phone calls and fielding conversations. That's been, I think, extremely helpful and unprecedented, I think, in my experience, to have members involved in the nitty gritty of projects. Has been really
enthusiasm about us rural councils. Yeah,
it's been really appreciated. And so just by way of background then, so this is just an update in terms of where we are with our ongoing consultation and engagement activities. It's to do with stage 2 of the improvements to the Martinborough wastewater treatment plant, where stage 2 is about irrigating treated wastewater to land, which essentially lines up with a wastewater strategy, which has been adopted by this council quite some time ago and is embedded in RMA resource consents, which were granted in 2016. So we're obligated to proceed with an irrigation scheme of treated wastewater to land. We, in broad terms, we've essentially met with landowners who are traversed by a pipe. We've also then met with landowners who live nearby in their homes. We've sent letters to all those people who are unable to attend those meetings themselves that we arranged. We've established a project website and put material in public places so people can interact. So that's a formal consultation process, if you like, and that now has come to an end. That has attracted a great deal of interest. Perhaps that's a wrong word. I'll tell you the numbers. Essentially, we've had 18 submissions, 3 of those in support, which is nice. But we've also attracted a great deal of questions and queries from near neighbours in particular. And so we've gone through a process of addressing those. Those submissions, and those queries have led to changes in the design. So that was the intent of going out to meet people, as we went our minds open to receiving additional information. So we've made changes to the scheme. We've introduced planting as buffers. We've adjusted the area that is to be irrigated to increase the distance between the irrigation area and near neighbours. And we've made adjustments to the way irrigation occurs. So those are the types of things we've done as a project team in response to that very good feedback. I was going to hand over at this point to Jen to just talk through some of the specific information that we received.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, so we have been engaging with the community, and Greg has mentioned there's been a high level of uptake on the projects and some excellent feedback that has actually informed our continued thinking. The engagement process is something that just keeps on going because we're in relationship with the community, and our information as it builds, as the project progresses, is made publicly available. So it's nice and transparent for people to see where we're up to. So yeah, in terms of formal Lagoima and things, yes, we've been in receipt of quite a few of those. So I believe the tally was around 19 at the time of writing of the report. But that has actually served, that formality has served quite well for us in terms of being able to collate that information, being good checking going through as it goes back to the requesters. So also very helpful as well in terms of putting that information up on our project website as well after the close of the engagement period. So as expected, the themes are what we would expect to see at this point. One of the key things, on page 3 of the report, was around alternative land purchase. It's like, well, why is this piece of land favoured? So some of the comments and questions were around the due process that council followed at that time, and the questions related to cost, the community consultation prior to due diligence, suitability, and what the difference actually is with this piece of land from Payne Farm, which it's close by. So those questions have been addressed individually regarding the Lagoima process and also on our project website. Concern around potential adverse environmental effects, matters such as potential spray drift beyond the property boundary, groundwater effects, odour, potential additional traffic movements, dust, proximity of storage ponds, and that was something that Greg touched on before, regarding just where those could be situated within the irrigation land area. Other matters that actually came out of the discussion was, the potential increase in insect population if you've got a pond in that area and what that actually looks like, animal pests and that sort of thing. So we've listened to that, and some work has been done around that. Alternative methods was another thing that came up. It was raised that council had not reassessed alternative methods for managing treated wastewater from the treatment plant, nor reconsidered alternative land locations for discharge. So that has been answered in terms of the process that council has followed implementation of the resource consent conditions and the 2012 strategy. Receiving environment, it was noted, properties surrounding the land irrigation area, that they don't materially benefit from that because they're in the rural area, and so they are, saying, well, we're a receiving environment for, wastewater from elsewhere. So that was noted by a number of people. And point E, impact on surrounding rural residential properties. Yeah, so we had some feedback regarding, terminology. So it's referred to the land north of Payne Farm. So that from this point forth, that's how it's being referred to. So we've implemented that straight away. And technical reports. Now, when you're engaging, you haven't completely finished all of your work. That's why you're engaging with the community and being able to gather that information to influence the work that's being done prior to submission of application for an AEE. So we have undertaken and responded to members of the public regarding the fact that on completion of that work, it'll be, you know, shared for everyone to review at the same time. So our project website is the source of truth. So it's kept up to date as we move along, and so we've made sure that people are aware of that. And otherwise, consider as read in terms of.
Thanks, Jen, and Greg. Greg. Yes, no, thanks very much. Very comprehensive report. A couple of things I noted in there. One is, I think in the mapping, I note that bear with me 2 secs. The design of the pipe, is that varied? Sorry, not the design, but the route of the pipe.
Route of the pipe's changed.
That's varied from the original conversation I had here.
Yes.
So that's okay. I just wanted to highlight that. So if I go back to about 2008, when this council made a decision to discharge treated wastewater to land and not into the Rumahanga catchment, and this is another chapter in moving away from that discharge into our river network. So, and the work that's been done to date and since those days has been phenomenal at a huge expense to our ratepayers, you know. So this is just another process that we need to go through, and yeah, the sooner we can get our treated wastewater out of the Rumahanga catchment, the better, in my view. So thank you. Are there other comments, questions from councillors? Because we are running actually a little behind time, and I really want to move on. Right, councillor.
This is obviously put us behind schedule by how much? These delays, by how far behind?
Originally, we were hoping to lodge applications by March, April. So I'm now anticipating we're looking at a date in May, June. So it's not only to do with consultation. The consultation and engagement's been helpful, but also we've not quite as advanced as we would like to be with our cultural impact assessments. So the CIAs, as I call them, cultural impact assessments, are programmed to be now completed by end of May. That's really holding us up more than the consultation and engagement activity.
Right. Thanks for the questions, but and the service.
That's all right. Aidan, I understand you have a question.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, agree. It's been a huge amount of work. I'd just like to publicly reinforce what Greg and Jen have stated, and that the folks who are neighbouring that block of land had publicly asked, had asked and for consideration that the name of the block of land did not relate to the road that they are living on, and from that point in time, that name of the road was removed from all council documents and discussions. So unfortunately, there have been some other documents that have been put up on social media by other organisations referring to that block of land by the name that we were originally calling it, but that has not been that has been out of council control, and we've certainly taken on board and acknowledged what those folks have been concerned about moving forward.
So. Right, no further questions. Do I have a mover to receive the Martinborough Wastewater Treatment Plant Stage 2 Improvements Engagement Update Report, and 2, note the concept design, the issues raised by the community and the RMA applications are due to be lodged in June 2026. Do I have a mover for that?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Rob, and a seconder. Thank you.
Yes.
Let us go. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much, Greg. Thanks. Well, moving on. I think we might just stand, stretch for a couple of minutes, move into public excluded now. I think we're at that stage. All right. So what we'll do is we'll move into public excluded, and acting on Amy's advice, we'll take a break. So would somebody move? Thank you. Thank you. All in favour? Aye. Okay. Thank you very much.
How long's your break going to be?
10 minutes at the most.